Hello everyone. This is your next lesson called, let me just double check, time signature and note values. But let's go back to measure, bar line and double bar line and make sure you got all that correctly. So go to last class's handouts and we are going to go over some of this stuff. Alright, so question 1 asked you to divide the whole staff below into 4 measures with a double bar line at the end. So what you had to make sure you have done is evenly divided the staff provided into 4 measures. And the only way to do that is to have drawn 3 bar lines, 1, 2, 3, and drawn a double bar line at the end. Okay? So, make sure you have done that. Now, as you can see, that means from here to here is 1 bar or measure, here to here, another measure, etc., etc. Okay? That is how you draw measures. You have to make bar lines to create bars or measures. So remember what I said last week? A bar or a measure is the same thing. The other one was to draw a treble clef, divide the staff into 4 measures, and double bar at the end. Actually, I could have kept that. So that you had to have done. You also had to have done a treble clef and a double bar line at the end. And you had to have put whole notes. Any whole note and then identify them. So you could have put one here, you could have put one here, you could have put one here, you could have put one here. Now obviously everybody's going to have different answers there, so I'm not going to correct it. You won't be able to tick that part, but make sure you've done your treble clef, your bar lines and your double bar line at the end. Then number 3 told you to do pretty much the same thing. Draw 4 measures, which meant you had to have drawn bar lines, but then do the same thing, but with base clef, number 1. 2, to have put quarter notes instead of whole notes. To put 4 quarter notes per measure or per bar. So you could have put one here, 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 and then here, 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 here. You may have noticed I did something wrong there. And you could have kept on going. But as long as there was 4 crotchets or 4 quarter notes per bar. So please make sure you have done that. The other thing you need to make sure is that your base clef is there and that your bar numbers are there. Your bar lines are there and your double bar line is there. Alright? So if you got that, that's correct. If you got those bar lines, that's correct. And if you've got 4 crotchets per measure or per bar, that is also correct. So you go ahead and tick yourself there. Obviously, again, the notes you had to draw were random, nothing specific, so I can't exactly correct that aspect. Then, you had to have drawn a grand staff and then drawn 2 half notes in each measure, alternating stem, direction, and staff. The notes on the bar lines begin with a bar line before the clef signs, then when there is a grand staff. So, in other words, just draw a grand staff. So to have done that successfully, you had to have used 2 staffs. To do that, which was already provided with for you, by the way, you had to draw a treble clef, a base clef, a bracket at the start to outline that it is a grand staff. You also had to have done 4 more bar lines like before, but this time you have to extend it out to the next staff. That's what makes a grand staff. There, and double bar line over here. I hope that makes sense. Then you had to have put whole notes anywhere. You could have put one here and here. You could have put one here and here. Notice where I place the stems, or here, and so forth. All right, again, notes could have been anything, but as long as you had whole notes, minims or half notes, and the treble clef, bass clef, all those bar lines, and the bracket at the start, and the double bar line at the end, you were correct. If you didn't get any of these, please make sure you get help from a teacher or contact your teacher for help, or look back at the previous classes to see where you went wrong. Okay, so let us get started with our next task. The next task is the next task is with a heading called time signature and note values. So let me just write that. Just raise this a tad. So it's called time signature and note values. Okay, so the thing is, the last few classes you have learned a treble clef and bass clef notes. We have learned about the grand staff. We have then learned about bar lines and double bar lines. And we've also learned about length of notes. So we've learned that this is a crotchet, or these are crotchets or 4-beat notes. These are minims or 2 beats, and these are whole notes. All right. Notice that there are different positions. All right, here and here and here. Actually, I'm just going to do something different and put the whole note here and finish it with crotchets here. Just as an exercise. So you can see I have put 4 crotchets there, 2 minims there, 1 semi-breve there, and 4 crotchets there. They are all divided with bar lines. That is what we've learned so far. We've also learned that each of these are worth different amount of beats, and wherever they are along the treble clef or bass clef tells us what pitch to play. So in other words, if you see this note, I'm just slightly reviewing what we've been talking about. We see this note in the second space of a treble clef. We know that it's an A, and it sounds like this because of F-A-C-E, face. That is the A in face. Working out lines, every good boy does fine. That's an E because that is on the bottom line or the first line. So same with bass clef. All cows eat grass. That means that's a G. Good boys do fine. That means that's an F. So you should know all this by now. We've also learned how different shapes make different amount of beats. Crotchets, these ones here, the black ones, are worth 1 beat. These ones here are worth 2 minims, 2 beats. Ones with no stem or is hollow, oval shaped, is worth 4 beats, called a whole note or a semi-breve. Now what you might also notice is that, like I said before, all of these notes are split and divided with bar lines. They all happen to equal 4 beats per bar. So for example, here, 1 beat plus 1 beat plus 1 beat plus 1 beat equals 4 beats. Then I've got 2 beats plus another 2 beats equals 4 beats. One of those is worth 4 beats, so we don't need any more notes in there. And I've put 4 crotchets here, also worth 4 beats. So, that was deliberate. This is what we call a time signature with a 4/4. So a time signature tells us how many beats to put in a whole measure. So this particular sign, a 4/4 like this, tells us to put 4 beats per measure, or 4 beats per bar. So that's what we've done here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 plus another 2 equals 4. So that is what a time signature is. Another way to look at it. To simplify it a bit more, we are going to just do this. Time signature of 4, 4. And I'm going to put a crotchet, a crotchet, a crotchet, and a crotchet. Now, because this tells me here to put 4 beats per bar, I'm going to put a bar line after that. All right? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 minims here. That's worth 2 beats. That's worth another 2 beats. I'm going to put another bar line here because that equals to 4 beats. All right. Now I'm actually going to go to the next line here so we're still in frame. So I'm just going to put a bar line there to show the start. And then I'm just going to put a semi-brief. That is worth 4 beats. Therefore, we put a bar line at the end of that. Now, because that's the end of the melody, I'm going to just finish it with a double bar line. So that's 1 bar, going on to the next bar, going on to the next line, to the next bar. So, that's all you really need to know about that. Now, how shall we do this? Let's add it to time. Let me put my metronome on. So, again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hope that makes sense. Now, the next thing you need to know is we're going to put some syllables at the bottom of these to kind of just help us read these a bit better without pictures. So as you can see, I've taken the staff away so we can read these by themselves. You might know these already. You may have learnt these in primary school. That sometimes comes up in primary schools. Some do, some don't. Okay, so we are going to call crotchets tar, because they're only worth 1 beat. But we're going to call minims ta-ah. So as you can see, ta-ah. The ah is for the remaining beats. And then we've got ta-ah-ah-ah. Okay, so you can see that what's happening here. So if we put that to time, this is how it works. 2, 3, 4, ta, 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 ah, ta, ah. Ta, 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 ah, ah, ah. I hope that makes sense. So, what we're going to do is, for the little while, we're going to take away the staff so you can understand how this works, okay? But basically, that's all you really need to know. The time signature at the start tells us how many beats do we need per bar, and how to separate them with bar lines. So you can see I've got 4 beats, therefore I have to put a bar line after that because that's what 4 and 4 tells me. Okay? Actually, incidentally, it's only the number at the top we want to worry about for this at this stage. Okay? Then ta ah for 2 beats, ta ah for another beat, 2 beats, totaling to 4. Therefore, we have to put another bar line. All right? Okay, so that's all you